Well, Hillary and the Donald, they shared the same stage again, this time at an annual charity dinner. It's supposed to be lighthearted, kind of a roast, but trust me, it didn't go down that way. Then, is Trump too far behind to catch up to Hillary? We're going to look at the latest math and tell you what some experts are saying about the slim to vanishing chances of one Donald Trump. And a big new development in the BRIDGEGATE trial today. Former top Christie aide Bridget she testified that she told the governor about the lane closure plan a month before it happened. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French. We got that, plus all the developments in an unfolding situation out in Long Island, and it is a mess there for the county executive. But we start off, obviously, with national politics. It's now just 18 days until the election mercifully comes. In a few minutes, we're going to look at the polls and the electoral map. But first, let's take a look at what everybody is talking about today. And no, it's not the debate anymore. It was the Al Smith dinner at the Waldorf Astoria that was held last night. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, they got a chance to take what were supposed to be lighthearted jabs at each other. It's supposed to be all in good fun. Most of it was, or at least some of it was. Here are some of the highlights.
Just before taking the dais, Hillary accidentally bumped into me, and she very civilly said, "Pardon me." This is the first time ever, that Hillary is sitting down and speaking to major corporate leaders and not getting paid for it. It's true. It's true. You know, the president told me to stop whining. But I really have to say, the media is even more biased this year than ever before, ever. You want the proof? Michelle Obama gives a speech, and everyone loves it. It's fantastic. They think she's absolutely great. My wife, Melania, gives the exact same speech. And people get on her case. And I don't get it.
This is such a special event that I took a break from my rigorous nap schedule to be here. And as you've already heard, it's a treat for all of you too, because usually I charge a lot for speeches like this. Donald, if at any time you don't like what I'm saying, feel free to stand up and shout "wrong" while I'm talking. You know, come to think of it, it's amazing I'm up here after Donald. I didn't think he'd be okay with a peaceful transition of power. And looking back, I've had to listen to Donald for 3 full debates, and he says I don't have any stamina. That is 4.5 hours. I have now stood next to Donald Trump longer than any of his campaign managers. So tonight, let's embrace the spirit of the evening. Let's come together, remember what unites us, and just rip on Ted Cruz.
Okay, good stuff. Not exactly, killing a Carolines, but still, good stuff here. They got the memo, or so you thought. Then Trump, who could have dropped the mic after the line, the Melania speech, and everybody would say, hey, you know what? He's got thicker skin than we gave him credit for. He can take and give a joke. No, that's not the Donald that we have learned in the last 16 plus months. He took things a little over the line, and then he leapfrogged, and then maybe he did, an Olympic triple jump here. And the audience, well, they let him know it.
Hillary is so corrupt. She got kicked off the Watergate Commission. Hillary believes that it's vital to deceive the people by having one public policy and a totally different policy in private. That's okay. I don't know who they're angry at, Hillary, you're right. For example, here she is tonight in public pretending not to hate Catholics.
All right, let's bring in our panel right now. Journal News columnist Phil Reisman, Dominic Carter, political journalist and author, and Michael Tobman, independent political consultant. I think everybody did the poor Cardinal, right? Dolan, I mean, you don't have to be of the same faith here as I am, but he's good, right? He, at some point, looked like, get me out of here. I can't do anything about this. He didn't get the memo, did he, Phil? I mean, this is not what the Al Smith dinner is supposed to be about.
No, the Al Smith dinner is supposed to be, it's supposed to be a lighthearted event where you're self-deprecating and it's all for raising money for Catholic charities and all that stuff. And he went right into the darkness. He really did. And it sounded like some of the things he said in the debates.
Right.
But I'll just say quickly, one of the things that I thought was really interesting was, at one point, then you don't see this in all the clips, he started talking about the people in the audience, people who had been business partners with him, people that he said invited them into their homes, he met their children. And he says, now they're all calling me disgusting, you know, and they're all telling me, they're condemning me. It was just it wasn't a joke.
No.
It was a dark moment, and he had a lot of them.
Dom, you've seen these things here, and you know him better than I do. Do you think it is that, some of that, you could tell, it seemed like he was reading it cold, right? Is it that somebody didn't give him the right, I mean, in the end, you got to own it yourself, you get up there. Is it that he didn't care? Or that he said, I don't care, guys. I'm going to use this place, and I'm going to burn the village down here. I don't even care if I'm at a Catholic charity. What went into it when he did this?
The latter, what you just stated, he just doesn't care. I think that all Donald Trump cares about at the end of the day is winning the news cycle, the immediate news cycle. And so he defines victory, while it might be outlandish to 99.999% of Americans, is outrageous behavior. To him, it's a victory when he turns on the news and sees that he's hated by the media and thus the public.
And you know the funny part is, Michael? He could have won. There's no winning or losing the Al Smith dinner, but people would have said, hey, you know what? Americans love somebody who can take a joke and who can poke fun of themselves. I mean, you go down the history of some of the best comics, it's the self-deprecating ones, and that society hadn't shown. She even took a shot with the Statue of Liberty comment, a 4, maybe a 5, if you know, and Trump's, that she might have gotten a little bit like, hey, cheap shot or whatever. But he never misses an opportunity to step on his own lead. You know what I mean?
He never misses an opportunity to miss an opportunity. She went into a battle of wits against an unarmed man, and she's better at it. The delivery is better. His anger, to both of my colleagues' points, it just oozes out of him. He can't help himself. And I really do believe that the outer borough, I'm a Queens guy, and here we are in the city resentment has defined so much of his personality and so much of his psyche, whereas Hillary gets up there and says, Al Smith would be gratified if he could see this, but all these plutocrats vetting him, he'd also be confused. That summed up the evening. It's a mix of plutocrats and New York elites raising money for Catholic charities so kids could go to school in the outer boroughs. Right. And he didn't get the memo, and even if he did and he read it, he couldn't help himself.
And he couldn't care. And just so you guys know, and I know maybe you didn't see it last night, but there were times where you went for the remote, even if you watched it, because it was that like, oh my God. Well, it wasn't just that it was people booing him, but it was also know your place, right? You got the Cardinals sitting in here. You're not supposed to say like bad Catholics and everything else. Anyway, okay. Now, it wasn't just about presidential politics. Clinton, she had a joke about Cuomo and de Blasio and how they don't exactly play well together.
But Your Eminence, you do deserve great credit for bringing together two people who've been at each other's throats, mortal enemies, bitter foes. I've got to ask, how did you get the governor and mayor here together tonight?
I know they had somebody in between those two. It was pretty good, right? Now, there were a few other moments that you said were pretty funny as well.
Well, I thought you know what I thought was funny was just watching some of the reactions, like Giuliani in the background.
He didn't look too happy.
Did he know he was even on camera, do you think?
Yeah, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
That was-
And like I said, I think he needs to retire, but go ahead.
That was it. I was just going to say. I mean, this is like the Dean Martin roast. You're supposed to, you know, tilt your head back and laugh. at
Those are
every-
hilarious. I mean, you got to go on YouTube and watch some of those just for fun. They
Yeah.
are
Oh,
to
yeah.
die for. But the way she sort of demarcated serious people, former mayors,
Yeah.
Dinkins, he said, we have all these former mayors and elected officials, and we have Rudy Giuliani, right? She's all this over here, agree or disagree. Mike Bloomberg, it's nice that he's here because we get to see what a real billionaire looks like. So
But you know what's amazing about this is every joke is being parsed and analyzed. You know,
absolutely.
it's amazing,
Yeah.
including the one about, you mentioned the Statue of Liberty
Yeah.
joke. That she had a punchline to that nobody understood. At least
Yeah.
I didn't until somebody explained it to me.
The
But-
second time it made a little bit more sense when I heard it, but I'm with you.
yeah.
But in the end, it's going to be an ugly last 18, 19 days here. He will not go quietly in the good night here. And if at the Al Smith dinner you go as far as that, I don't know what line there is that he's not going to be willing to cross. We'll talk about it in the next segment about not willing to accept the election results and everything else. But can he go uglier than we've seen, Mike?
Oh, sure. A friend of mine, our sons go to school together, it's a showrunner for that Showtime series, The Circus, that's been following it around. And he and I literally were sitting in a corner today, a street corner, and he said, so what's next? How bad is it going to be? And I turned to him and said, don't you know? I mean, look what you're doing. What do you do? He said, oh, no, we have no idea. But it's still October, and there's time for more October surprises.
Yes, and the leaks keep on coming. All right, now, Trump is getting thumped in the polls here, and it could be even worse than it looks. I'll explain why and what that could mean for some down-ticket Republicans. Stay with us, everybody.